What's up, everybody? I'm Zombie Cat,
And I'm Skull.
and welcome to the Horror Den. Today, unfortunately, we discovered that Abandoned by Disney Part 3 is kind of weird. It's not necessarily something that's scary. You'll have to check it out for yourself again on creepypasta.org, but it's kind of strange. It kind of seemed more of just like a farewell. I don't know if it was posted like earlier this month, so if it evolves into anything, we'll come back to it. So we're sorry for any excitement that might have been built up. We found an interesting new creepypasta that I've never read. I'm assuming you've never read, called Knocking by Stephen Shorter. It was posted November 13th, 2013, so kind of in the peak of big creepypasta. It's a pretty short one, so...
But it has 4.7 stars and over 28K views. So that's kind of what... Also, the image that we are seeing is what drew us to this one. We just picked it out of a hat.
The art really caught me, so I was like, let's check that out. That looks spooky.
So, we're going in blind just like all of you, so I hope you enjoy it. It started when I was 6 years old. I was in school. It was the middle of a reading lesson, and I needed to pee badly. At that age, actually, a fair few kids still wet themselves, and I always got paranoid about embarrassing myself in public like that. I stuck my hand up and told Miss Zebby that I needed to use the bathroom. After the usual speech about how I should have gone at break, she gave me the key to the disabled access toilet, as it was the closest one to the classroom.
Already a very relatable situation.
Yeah.
I think we all went through that at one point in like first grade.
I remember in kindergarten, I told my teacher, I won't say her name, that I needed to use the restroom, and I never asked. But we had a bathroom right connected to our classroom, and she was like, "If you go, you're gonna get your clip moved to yellow."
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, "No, I'll just hold it." And because I was scared of getting in trouble in any capacity, because I didn't want to wait 5 minutes at break. She was just like, "Go," and she didn't make me change my clip. But at the same time, it was like the threat of it,
Yeah.
So I get it.
That was the worst feeling in the world. We had cards. You had to pull your card.
So back to it. It was the middle of fifth period, and the corridors were empty and seemed cavernous to me. I was a short, scrawny thing back then. I sometimes had trouble with doors, especially unlocking them, and I fumbled for a good minute or two in trying to get the blasted thing open. Anyway, as I sat on my porcelain throne, there came a knocking at the door. "Someone's in here," I called, disgruntled at this disturbance. There came a pause. Then the knocking resumed. It was faster now, more determined. "Wait a minute." The knocking slowed, and the voice replied, "Let me in. I need to come inside."
Ooh. That's spooky. It's like some dudes really gotta use the bathroom. I really gotta go. That's spooky though. The speaker's tone was thin and reedy. An adult I didn't recognize.
Oh no, that adds a whole nother level. It's an adult voice. And this is like a kid.
Yeah. That's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The speaker's tone was thin and reedy. An adult I didn't recognize. I may have been 6, but I also had a fairly good understanding of bathroom etiquette. Mainly that you didn't let more than one person into an area only slightly larger than a cupboard. Go away! The knocking intensified again until it was a frantic drum beat. Just a few feet from me and out of sight, I heard the voice shouting something, growing more and more desperate. "Let me in. Just open the door, please." I was terrified by that point. The hammering and yelling was so loud, and yet nobody had come to investigate it. Eventually, my teacher came to find me, angry because I had been gone almost half an hour. Ooh, does that mean somebody was banging on the door for half an hour? Ooh.
Yeah, probably like 20 minutes.
That's terrifying. When I refused to open the door to let her in, she got a spare key from the receptionist and then took me into the headmaster's office and called my parents. I was suspended for the rest of the week, and I never told anyone what happened.
It was a few weeks before my next encounter with this phenomenon. I had just celebrated my 7th birthday, and my family were having a barbecue in my honor. It was a gloriously sunny day, but as soon as we'd set everything up in the elements behind our house, the coal refused to light. My dad asked me to go and get some fire starters from the shed in the front garden. It was pretty cramped inside, and I wouldn't fit all the way, so I just opened it up, stood on my tiptoes to reach the shelf holding my objective, then shut the door. As I turned away, a frantic knocking hit the other side of the door. "Open up. I need to come through." The voice was not the one I'd heard a month before, but it was deeper, more brooding and angry. I said nothing and hurried away. I had no idea what was happening, but it frightened me. As I walked away, there came a final thump like a fist being slammed against wood, and I heard the voice again. "You little bastard, I'll rip your fucking teeth out. Let me through." I ran back to my party and spent the rest of the day glancing over my shoulder.
As you might have guessed, by now there were a lot of these voices. I count at least 30 total each month or so. I used to get them pleading to be let through doors. Almost always, it would be immediately after I shut the door behind me, as through these strange entities had been following me. I never told anyone, but to be honest, I kinda just got used to it. It always made me jump, and some of the voices would make me feel uneasy, but I knew that I was safe so long as I did not open the door. Some of the voices I got used to the extent that I even named them. There was one which always used to appear at my front door at home. We have frosted glass, and I could see a silhouette of an average-sized man wearing a cap of some kind. He never spoke, but occasionally would push envelopes containing blank pieces of paper through the letterbox. I called him the postman. He was one of the more unsettling ones. If I tried to speak to him, he would look up sharply, then begin knocking. I generally left the postman alone. 20 years on, and I have retained as much normality as possible. I have plenty of friends. I even have an on and off relationship with a girl I met last year. Not bad for a guy who wakes up in the middle of the night and listens intensely to noises you can't hear on the other side of the door. Yeah, my buddies think I'm strange and kooky, but they put up with it. They're all great. I'll miss them.
You see, things have started to get strange. Well, stranger than usual, I suppose. 3 weeks ago, I awoke, sweating and crying, though I don't know why. My dream had been, from what I recall, fairly normal, when a huge shadow had abruptly fallen over everything. Literally, the second I opened my eyes, there came a knocking at my bedroom door. Not just normal knocking, though. This was truly frantic. "Who goes there?" I yelled. "Please, help us," it replied. I was surprised. It was the sadistic, angry voice that I remember from my father's shed on my 7th birthday, but it seemed genuinely sincere. There was a pain tone to it, too, as though the speaker was grievously injured. I actually found myself pulling back the sheets to get up, but I hesitated. I had never before been tempted to open the door. I suppose as a child I had so rigorously drummed into my head the idea of whatever lays beyond was evil, that it was just common sense. To be quite honest, I came very close to letting the thing into my room that morning. I held out in the end.
Ooh.
It got worse. Just 2 days later, I was in my local corner shop. I had just paid for a bottle of milk and a newspaper when a great force slammed against the shop door. Simultaneously, a voice began screaming, a long, keening squeal of pain. I whirled to face the door, but there was so many flyers plastered over the glass that I could only just make out the shape of a woman on the other side, slapping her palms against the window. The shopkeeper stared at me as though I were crazy. In the end, I asked if he had a bathroom I could use, murmured some half-thought-out excuse, and hid there for 10 minutes until the screaming stopped. There were 4 more incidents between then and now, a mixture of screams and tearful begging. The postman stopped by yesterday, too. He knocked politely before sliding his usual letter through the letterbox. Then another. Then another.
A total of 10 plain brown envelopes. The postman waited for a few minutes, knocking occasionally, and then he left me alone. Each letter contained a sheet of A4 paper, but somebody had taken a black pen to the pages, scribbling and shading them with such vigor that there were large tears around the center, and the edges were frayed. I shoved them back into their envelopes and tried to put it from my mind. Earlier, my bedroom door shook violently. It wasn't a scream or a howl or a roar that I heard, though. It was just crying, dozens and dozens of voices sobbing quietly. Another blow struck my door. Plaster flaked from the walls and twirled from the carpet. Still no pleas or bargaining, just sobbing. Crash! I jumped up from my chair. Crash! A hairline crack split the frame of the door in one corner. My phone began to ring, and I heard a sharp rapping at the glass of my window behind the curtains. I tried answering the phone, but it was simply yet more voices crying. Not even sobbing, though. More like bawling in terror and anguish. I hung up, but it kept ringing, so I took the battery out.
I have shoved most of my furniture against the door and window. It has been 3 hours since this latest attempt at entry began. The battering has not abated, nor has the crying. I'm fairly sure that my door won't hold much longer. As for my mediocre barricade, it could be swept aside in 2 minutes. I find myself faced with a very real possibility of death, so I am writing this memoir of sorts just in case something happens. Crash. What do they want? Crash. Do they even want to hurt me? Crash. They seemed fearless, even malicious before. Crash. What could have driven them to do this? Crash. Maybe I should open the door. Crash. Maybe I should let them in. Silence fell. I realized that even the crying had ceased. For a whole minute I sat there. Then I got up, hurried to my door, eager to escape the claustrophobic situation. Perhaps I'd go outside, where I could be far away from any doors, and from the damned knocking. I pulled away my barricade and turned the handle. Locked.
Kneeling, I peered through the keyhole beyond my bedroom door. Was not the corridor that I remembered, but another room, some kind of library or classroom. I think it seemed unoccupied, but for one kid sitting and reading with his back to me. I banged on the door. Hey kid, let me out, okay? He glanced over his shoulder. Yeah, over here. Could you open the door, please? I can't. I'm in detention. I'm not supposed to talk to anyone. Go away. He turned from me, confused and exasperated. I began to stand up. A loud bang shuddered the silence once more. I realized it sounded like a fist being pounded against glass. My window. I heard it again, but this was not the frantic knocking of somebody wanting to get inside. This was not even an attempt to break in. Whatever was beyond the curtain and glass knew I was inside. It knew I was frightened in the most predatory and sadistic way possible. It wanted me to be afraid.
I turned back to the door and began hammering on it frantically. Hey, let me in, okay? I really need you to open the door. The end. It reminds me of Smile. Somebody or people got trapped in this. They could see him through the keyholes, and they were asking him to let him in. And when he refused, the curse transferred onto him. And so it's almost like refusing to open the door makes this entity or spirits that are amassed from being told no, that they're not going to be let in, like kind of go after you in this weird way. At least that's what I'm taking away from it. I might be wrong, though.
Did he decide to let it in earlier?
No, he said that he debated, maybe I should let them in, and then everything just went silent. And then he took away the barricade, the door was locked. He peered through the keyhole, saw the kid, and was like, hey, can you let me out? Just like he had heard at the bathroom stall door.
So now it's starting over again with this new kid.
Yeah, it's almost like the curse is officially transferred. I wonder what would have happened if the kid opened the door. I want to know what would have happened if he would have opened the door when he was a kid. Would it have all just been nothing? Like you hear a voice on the other side, you open the door, nothing happens. There's nobody there.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's one I'll have to think on some more. I might have to read it again, deep dive a little deeper into that.
Yeah. Overall, good story. I mean, I think we picked a random one out of a hat. That was a good one.
It was interesting.
Yeah, it was definitely worth the read, and I'm really excited, now that we're kind of at a standstill with Abandoned by Disney, we can look into more stuff. I know that there's some really popular ones out there.
Yeah, this was kind of just a spur-of-the-moment kind of choice, because when we came to film Abandoned by Disney, we were like, let's just choose something quick. I do know a lot in the future that we'll cover, but that was pretty interesting.
As for our next creepypasta, I definitely think that we should tackle a Slender Man story, because that was actually recommended to us by a fan of ours, Berta the Kid, down in the comments of some of our other videos. So we'll definitely be looking at a good one to share with you guys. But if you want to check out this creepypasta, it is on creepypasta.org. It's called Knocking, and it's by Stephen Shorter, and it was posted November 13th of 2013. We found it by the most popular. Right?
Yeah, it was towards the top. It was one of a shorter ones, so
I think it's like a 9-minute read. Next week we will be doing our review of Late Night with the Devil after we watch it. So, it's not available on anything right now, so it's only available in theaters. So we're gonna watch it, come back, do a spoiler-free review, and maybe at a later date we'll come back to it and post a spoiler video where we actually go into a deep dive of the story itself. So this video and the next video will be a little bit on the shorter side, which I'm sure will be welcome to some, and then maybe people want us to go a little more in depth.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes with creepypasta too. Some are just kind of like short like that, not necessarily like spine chilling to where we were like that was more like thought provoking almost. It's like
I want to know what's behind it,
Yeah, and like what happens if he opens the door, or if he maybe did open the door when he said maybe I will let it in, maybe he did do it.
I thought it was going to be kind of like a time warp kind of deal, like maybe he was going to look through and it was going to be him as a kid, and then he said the same thing that the person knocking on the door said to him.
It's kind of like the movie, is it Interstellar, where the dude's looking at his past self, and
I've never seen it. So I promise that there are movies that I have seen. We're just covering things that I've never seen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was a fun little short. It was interesting. Kind of thought-provoking.
Definitely worth the read. So if you like little creepy stories, just go check this out. Show some support for Stephen Shorter. He did a good job. I don't know if he has put out any other work, but we'll probably find out soon enough.
Yeah, maybe we'll read more of it. Let us know kind of your theory on it, because I'm probably going to read it again at some point.
Yeah, so for this one, tell us your favorite part of the creepypasta down below in the comments, like always. But anyway, leave this video a like if you enjoyed it, and also comment down below, just start a little conversation amongst yourselves.
Be sure to follow us on socials. We have an Instagram at The Horror Den. We also have a Patreon if you would like to support the channel. Get your name put up on the video like this right here. And
thank you to all these patrons.
Yes. You can donate as little or as much as you'd like, but we are 3 full-time workers. We have to take one day out of the week to film these videos, so we just do it out of the passion for doing it. All proceeds go straight back into the channel. So
yeah, every dime we get is being put towards new equipment or better equipment, fixing up our office the way we want it to be, where we're going to be recording from here on out for at least the foreseeable future.
Right.
And if that ever changes, you will be the first ones to know as our supporters. And at that point, we can start actually having some more tiers as well as maybe some more benefits to be a part of those tiers.
Who knows? We could y'all could recommend us any kind of like future like rewards for higher tiers.
Maybe also down in the comments below, start giving us ideas of what movie or creepypastas we should do in honor of our 100th subscriber. So when we reach that goal, we can do something special. Maybe like a big horror movie that you guys have been wanting us to cover.
Like a longer creepypasta.
Right.
There's some creepypastas. It takes a minute to read some of these. They're pretty long, but
I think the longest one we did was Abandoned.
Yeah, this like I said, once again, this was kind of just like a spur of the moment.
Right.
I have some in the backlog planned that I don't want to spoil, so...
Like always, guys, leave a like, leave a comment, please subscribe, share this with your friends. If you want to support us on our Patreon, you go do that. But most importantly, stay spooky out there.